So my first job in professional show business was magician. I know I don't look like a magician. I look more like a guy that maybe beat up the magician and took all his stuff. But when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I looked a little bit less like a UFC fighter and a little bit more like David Blaine. I applied my trade in my small Kentucky hometown. And as you can probably guess, there's not a lot of call for a professional magician in small Kentucky hometown. So I took any job I could get. I played the county fair. I worked children's birthday parties. I did magic car window to car window at a Sonic drive-in restaurant, which I believe, if you check, is officially the bottom rung of the showbiz ladder. And sometimes I worked these private parties doing what's known as walk-around magic, which is exactly what it sounds like. You walk around and you show people magic tricks. You find little groups of people that have gathered and perform for them. So I was at one of these parties one night, and it was fancy. I was wearing a tie, which was a big deal for me. I wasn't opening for cheeseburgers and breathing car exhaust. It's a big night out. So I busted out my A game, and I did this sleight of hand routine that took me, literally years to learn. And it was working so well. They were laughing and they were gasping in the right places. And at the end of the bit, I got a huge round of applause from 3 of the 4 people I was performing for. And the other one was this guy. And he was, I guess, in his 50s, like twice my age. Very successful guy, more money than God, this guy. Big deal in the community. And he kind of looked down his nose at me. Kind of looked at me with disdain, and he said, "You should be wearing a clown nose." Yeah. And I looked back at him. I didn't miss a beat. And I said, "You know what? Actually, I have a clown nose. I keep it right here inside my regular nose. Want to see?" Yeah. Yeah. Right? No. Full disclosure, this is not a clown nose. This is what's known in the magic business as a sponge ball. Clown noses are a little bit bigger, and they have a slit cut in the back of them so you can wear them. This is a sponge ball. There are many, many, many magic tricks that can be done with these things. And lucky for me, I was just about to do one of them when this jackass opened his mouth. So I was all prepared. And so the other 3 people in the party, they laughed with me and at him, and he turned around and walked off all angry, and I won. Except I really didn't. Because what this guy said stuck with me. Because what he said was basically what I had been saying to myself for weeks and weeks. I thought, am I wasting my life? Am I wasting my life? See, my sister was a social worker. She had just gotten her doctorate degree, and she was one of the founding members of her community's chapter of Habitat for Humanity. And I was playing the Sonic drive-in, doing goofy magic tricks. I was working on a 2-year degree in theater from a community college, and in my spare time, I was making these silly little short films. I imagine that people would come up to my parents, they hadn't seen us for a while, and they'd say, "Hey, what's your daughter doing these days?" And my parents would say, "Oh, she's a social worker. She helps people. She just got her PhD, and in her spare time, she builds houses for the poor." Yeah. Yeah. What's Scott doing these days? He's in prison. He's in prison. So I decided I'm going to get serious about my life. I dropped out of my theater classes, and I started trying to decide, am I going to do pre-med? Am I going to do pre-law? Am I going to do business? And in the meantime, I quit doing the magic shows. I quit doing the goofy little short films, and I got a real job at a bank working as a teller, and I hated it. But I stuck it out. Boy, I was going to stick it out. And I've been working there for about 4 months when this thing happened. A woman walks into the bank, and I swear I was never one of those magicians who would make people watch tricks unless I was being paid for it. But I said to this woman, and I don't know why, and I don't know if it was something in her eyes that I saw, or if it was just my subconscious trying to get me fired from this damn job. But I said, "You want to see a trick?" And before she could even answer, I picked up one of these, a cracker left over from my lunch that was laying on the desk. And I said, "Check it out. It's the mystery of the Ritz cracker." I take the Ritz cracker in my right hand. I place it into my left hand. I sprinkle magic dust on the back of my hand, and mysteriously the cracker's gone. Yeah, that was her reaction too. And then she stopped laughing and she looked at me really seriously and she said, my husband died 3 weeks ago, and I don't think I've laughed since then. Thank you. That was exactly what I needed. And I realized at that moment what I had to do. So I gave my notice at the bank and I went back to my theater classes. And eventually, when I was auditioning for a Shakespeare play, I met my wife. We were paired up. And the first words I ever said to my soulmate were the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. I went back to doing my magic tricks. And eventually I combined those with stand-up comedy. And I played all over, including the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Scotland, which was a big goal of mine. And at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, another magician stole that Ritz cracker trick and did it on British TV. But that's another story. And I went back to making the goofy short films, which eventually led to the job I have now, which is writing on a television show that is never going to get any critical acclaim, and it's never going to win an Emmy, but millions of people watch it every week, and I like to think that for at least some of those people, at that time, it's exactly what they need. Because what I did not know that night at that party, and what I learned that day in that bank is this: man, you got to do whatever it is you do, no matter what that thing is. Because while the world does need bankers and doctors and lawyers and such, sometimes all the world really needs is a clown. Thank you.